So anyway, this is the, I call him my COVID jester. Just somebody that made me laugh when I was working on him. And he's an offshoot of the Decorah Eagles. So then I thought, well, what else is there to do? And if you want to go to the second one, I was sitting on the couch one day. My dog walks in. This is the model for this painting is my dog, Lisa Marie, daughter of Elvis and Clara. And she likes to carry around multiple bones in her mouth. And she has these curved bones that have these big white balls on the ends. And I thought, those look like coronavirus. Because at that time, it was like anybody talking about COVID would put up those balls with the crowns on them. And I thought, that's what it is. So that's how that one all came about. This is Lisa Marie and all her COVID bones, and she's the COVID herder in my house. And then, if you want to go to the next one, this is my first protest piece. As you can tell, read it upside down. I can't remember when it was. It was probably beginning of the summer. There was an article in the Des Moines Register about Stanley Perlman, who is a coronavirus virologist at the University of Iowa. And he got his start in coronavirus back during the SARS epidemic. And SARS kind of came and went much faster. I think they had less, I think they had like 700 or 800, only 700 or 800 people die of SARS. But what his contribution was mice and rats are not susceptible to the coronavirus. What Dr. Perlman did was GMO'd mice so that they would be, for research purposes, they would be susceptible to coronavirus. I thought that was like really interesting. And the reason why it was in the newspaper was the Jackson Labs in Maine, which is a huge laboratory that produces rats and mice for research purposes. They were doing a literature research. They discovered Stanley Perlman and his research on coronavirus and mice. And they contacted him and they said, oh, by the way, do you still have any of these mice that we could use in our research? He goes, I don't have any of the mice, but I got semen. I thought, okay, that brought up some weird pictures that I don't think I would ever be able to portray correctly in a painting. But anyway, he sent 17 vials of mouse semen to Maine. They reproduced mice and sent them all over the world. And they saved the researchers all over the world about 6 months in the development of vaccines. That's one of the reasons why the vaccines came so fast, was Stanley Perlman at the University of Iowa. Anyway, I looked at the picture that they had in the Des Moines Register. It was this beautiful black mouse. And it just kind of like, oh. And at that point, there was all this controversy about the Trump administration not being really on board with the science and all that stuff. So this is actually entitled Science Will Prevail. And it doesn't really show up in this particular image, but the skin tone on the hand that you see at the top is decidedly orange. So anyway, that's my big protest piece. And then the next one, this is Karen McConnell. Karen, for those, I don't know if you know the mythology behind Karen. Karen is the ferryman across the river's Styx and Acheron that gets you into the underworld. And the ferryman requires payment. And I've never really liked politics and politicians per se, because they seem to be always very money hungry. And that kind of developed into this image. And that's our illustrious, now former Senate Speaker, and Mitch McConnell. Now, when you look up the myth of Karen, it's spelled so many different ways. Karen with a K, with a C, CH, you name it, and it's pronounced a whole bunch of different ways. But I have chosen CHARON. So this is Karen McConnell. So that's that. These are the four main pieces in the paintings that I've done so far. I have a couple more paintings that are in the sketching and thumbnailing stage. But does anybody have any questions about the first four? No? Okay. So
Kyle, this is Jennifer. Sorry.
Hey, Jen.
I thought for a second you were saying Karen like Karen as a play of all the Karen jokes. Well, you know,
that is one of the pronunciations, and that's how I do pronounce it, Karen. Which I hadn't really thought of that link, but you're right. It's very fitting in a number of different ways.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks, Jen. So, hi, Leanne. Oh, what medium? Also, Karen is Pluto's right. You're right. The medium, this is all acrylic on canvas. They haven't been varnished yet. I am planning to varnish them all, but these are all acrylic, and I use golden acrylics. And I use the same tetrad of purple, magenta, gold, and green gold in all these paintings. Thanks, Leanne, for the question. And then the next one is, so part of this whole project was, so the images have come from, as you can kind of gather, all different ways, from the newspaper, from just kind of whatever, including dreams. And that brings me up to my current project. And this is the first panel of what's going to be called Trump, with a very long number. And the number will represent the number of people who have died of COVID during his watch, which ends at noon tomorrow. So the final number is going to be in the 400,000s, but I don't know what the number is yet. I think last I saw this morning, we were up to 400,108, but people, they said, are dying at 2 people a minute in the United States at this point. So it's going to be quite high. So anyway, in this, these panels, this is a hollow core door that is 7 foot high, 30 inches wide. I got the inspiration for the hollow core doors from Jennifer Drinkwater, who uses them a lot and has done some really wild things like with cutouts and stuff. And I thought this was kind of a good use of that. So if you probably all remember when Donald Trump tested positive for coronavirus, the night before it was announced that he had COVID, I had a dream, and in the dream, he died. And he's in the process of dying of COVID, and all the people that had died of COVID visited him on his deathbed. That was in my dream. And then at the end of the dream, I was out walking the dog, and I came up to an intersection, and there was a squad car off to my left, and the lights, instead of blinking red and blue, were blinking red and green. So I interpreted that as meaning that he was going to die in the Christmas season, but still waiting. So anyway, in this project, these are all individual dots, one for each person who has died. And each person is represented by a dot. And then I also keep track of the number of dots that I've done on pieces of paper with hatch marks. And if you go to the next one, Jen, this is the full size. This is a close-up of one section. And in person, there's a lot of modulation because I use different size brushes. And I also will fill a brush with, I'm using iridescent pearl acrylic paint. And you fill the brush and you start, I do 20 dots at a time. And that causes the paint to start kind of wearing off and changing the density of the dot itself. And then I just keep on moving. I try to work in different areas so that everything's kind of constantly changing. The background is, there's an underpainting of yellow, and you can see a little bit of the yellow peeking through along the top. And then everything else is in that little curved area up there. There's also a little bit of blue and red in the underpainting, as well as mixed in with the black. The black is kind of a very matte, flat black. These will also be varnished. So when it's all done, I am planning to leave some parts of the panels with the flat black. Now, this is about the panel that you just saw. In that photograph that I put up, just the one before, there was about 72,000 dots in there. And last time I worked on it, it was up to 75,000. So I kind of stopped at that point because I need to know how many doors to buy. And now that I have a closer figure, I'll be buying probably 5 more panels. What I intend to do then is to hinge all these panels together so that the viewer will walk into this kind of corral of these paintings, or these panels rather. And, you know, they can have, it's going to be small enough so it's going to be just one person at a time, and they can have, you know, be visited by the souls of the dead. So I also thought that it was kind of appropriate to do this after the Karen McConnell one. So that's what I'm working on right now. It's going to take a while. It takes, I can do about 1,000 dots in 15 to 20 minutes. So once I get all the panels and I prep all the panels, then I'll start really jamming on that. But in the midst of all this, I have a friend who's Japanese, and she sent me a video from Japan. If you want to go to the next one, Jen. This is my take on the Amabei, which is a Japanese yokai, and yokai is Japanese for monster. And Amabeis have become quite the rage in Japan now. And there's a myth that back in the 1800s, an Amabei came out of the ocean and came up to the shore of a farming community, and they were having a real bad harvest. And this Amabei said, "I will protect your harvest for the next 6 years. And oh, by the way, there's a plague going on. If you make a picture of me and show it to somebody who catches the plague, I will cure them." Well, that was in the 1800s that myth started. And now fast forward, it's all the craze in Japan, and people are making Amabeis everywhere. And after I saw the video, the Amabei has certain criteria. They have scales. They have 3 fins and a beak and hair. And so what unfortunately in this shot of this, I used interference paint on top to make the scales. In person, it kind of really pops, but in here it doesn't. And I'm also getting used to a new cell phone camera. So anyway, I hope someday you can all see these in person because they look a lot better in person. So anyway, that's my Amabei. And then it was a good diversion. And this begins my diversion series. In addition to doing paintings, I also love to work with graphite colored pencil and mixed it up with some pastels and chalk. And if you go to the next one, we have several of them. They're abstracts usually. Okay, this is like the first one. And I start out, they're on mixed media paper, heavy paper. And oh, the Japanese monster, Amabie, is Amabie. Thanks for the question. So I was trying to say light and airy on some of these abstracts. And I like to go in with, this is a combination of pastel, colored pencil, and graphite. So you can just kind of scroll through these, Jen. They don't, and I apologize, there's a duplicate in the PDF file of that one. But they're all the same size. These are 9.5 by 12s. Oops. I'm glad Jen's doing this. I would really mess it up.
Do you have a title for that one?
This, which one? The first one? The yellow one?
Yeah.
No, I'm just calling those just diversions. I don't have any titles. This one is done in the same way. And this is Shattered, which is actually, it was very kind of prophetic because of, with all the white supremacists who went to the Capitol and did the insurgency, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, the males, white males feeling disenfranchised and whatnot. This came to me fairly early on in this process, and it was more one of a manner of, I was started to do one thing and this image just kind of took over and I went with it. It's not one of my favorites, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. And I do like to do portraits with this kind of cracked look. I think it shows a lot of emotion. So, and then the next one. Again, this is another abstract. Looks actually more floral than I ever intended, but I kind of like it. And I was kind of going through a blue-green phase there, and there's another one very similar, but I like them.
Next.
That's the duplicate.
Is it? Okay.
Yep. So this one, done in the same way. Back during the summer, the news was full of everything about oh my God, I just lost it. No rain, everything was just drying up. My backyard was crunchy when you walk on the grass. And I just kind of had this image of the land trying to eat the water. And those are all teeth and stuff in there. So it's kind of weird. But yeah, it's just done in the same way, pastels, and then I erase, and it's graphite and colored pencil. And I really have a lot of fun doing those. They're just kind of a little bit of weirdness. And it's always interesting for me as to what ends up happening with them. And that was part of my green-blue phase. Yeah, thanks, Leanne. I had, when I was taking classes at ISU, one of my professors said something about, why don't you just grind into the, what? Hey, Bob. He was talking about, hey, Bob, mute yourself.
I am mute.
Oh. Is it still on? Hey, Deb.
There you go.
So regarding the depth, that's mostly how I end up doing a lot of stuff, whether I'm painting or drawing. Drawing, I find, goes faster and it's easier because you can control it a lot more. But one of the professors had talked about, well, it looks like it's 3D, but it's not, but it should be. And so he tried to get me to start grinding in. So I went through a phase where I was like layering paper and taking a sander and doing all that. But I like the illusion of 3D. So you could like wax poetic about facades and all that stuff, but I'll spare you that. So, and then I don't know what's left.
We're on slide 14 of 17.
Oh. Is there anything left? There's
Yeah.
the skinny ones.
Here's the skinny one.
Yeah, I did way back. This is like 2 or 3 years ago. I was in an art supply store and I found this pad of really heavy paper. It's small. It's only like, oh God, what is it? 8 by 10 or something. And I bought it and never used it. And then when, I thought, COVID, hey, it'll be small and go fast. And I actually ended up liking these dimensions. They're small, but they were fun to work on. So I did 3 with that paper. And for some reason, I always lean towards vertical. But if you want to just rip through those.
2 and 3. And that is the end of the series.
Yeah, that's the end of the series. And so when I get back in, does anybody have any specific questions about any of the ones that you just saw?
Are these the same medium as the previous?
The beginning were paintings with acrylic on canvas. The panel with all the dots, that's acrylic on wood. And then these last ones, all the abstracts, are on paper, and they are a mixture of pastels and colored pencil and graphite.
Oh. I have a question about your studio, Kyle. We saw your studio in the old Octagon building or behind it, and I'm curious, are you studioing at home now?
No, I'm still down in the McClanahan building. They're awesome. Yeah, it's nice and quiet. It's not as big as I'd like, but it's fine. And I still go down there, and everybody's they keep to themselves. There's a bunch of IT people there, and so I feel kind of really safe. Everybody masks up, and so I don't feel the least bit apprehensive about going in there and catching COVID, because it's really well cleaned and they're taking care of the building and whatnot. So I'm still there.
I'm going to stop sharing, but if anybody would like to see a slide, we can certainly come back to it in a second. But I'm going to.
Mark, did you indicate you want to see the end ones?
Yes, I did. That like pages 16 and 17 went by awfully fast.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So here's the one we talked about for a bit. And then this was 16. And I don't know if there's anything to be said about it, Kyle.
Yeah. Do you have any specific questions, Mark?
No, I wanted to spend a little more time just taking it in. It just zipped by so quickly, and they're all really interesting. There's something about them that reminds me of the art of Southeast Asia, but I'm not sure what it is. There's just, maybe it's your use of line. I don't know, but they're really interesting.
Thanks. When this is all over, COVID and not, feel free. You can come over to the studio and see them in person, because I tried to get the color when I was taking the photographs. I waited for the perfect, overcast day, took the photographs, but still, there's a lot to be said for looking at something in person. So, feel free, you can come over.
That'd be great. Thanks.
We'll have to do a COVID catch up when we're back in person. We'll just do a quick round of all the people we featured while we couldn't be together.
Hey, Kyle, do you intend when you put the doors together to flow one into the other, or do you even know yet?
If I'm understanding your question, what they're going to be done, as I start working on the next panels, the one that's there will be probably in the very middle. and they will be eventually hinged together so that when they'll stand on their own, and they will flow into each other. And there's going to be some open spaces of just solid black, and then they'll just kind of move through.
I like that idea.
Yeah, and I was also thinking it would be really cool to have candles like at the foot of each panel, but then I thought there's no way, that would be too dangerous. So I'm thinking about lighting already, but the hinging will create this like surround thing so that you will it's more of an immersive experience. It's kind of the first time I've ever done anything like that.
You could set it up in such a way that the entry for one person to get in is a pretty narrow space, which would really give them a sense of like sort of going into a mausoleum or going into a chapel or just going into sacred space.
Yeah, you nailed it, Mark. It was like, that was what I was thinking all the way along, that because I was thinking, okay, initially when this came to me and I had this vision in a dream, I was going to have like a head at the bottom and have all the dots above. And I was thinking, oh, this will be like 2 panels and I can stack them on each other. And then all of a sudden the numbers blew up, and they blew up so fast. And I thought, well, nix that idea. And then I realized that no, I can surround the viewer. And so I was giving it some thought actually earlier today, that what I want to do is the curve that you have in, was it Fibonacci's curve, you know, so that you kind of, like you said, is going to be set up in such a way that it would restrict the number of people that could be in there at any time. Because it's like, I think for something like that, it's a private thing. And I'm sure that there's going to be people who will see it who have experienced loss from COVID. And so they deserve, you know, some private time. And so in the other side of the panels, what I intend to do is also paint them all flat black, and then paste all the papers that I'm using to track the numbers. They're all hatch marks. And I was like, what am I going to do with all these papers? You know, and then I thought, no, they're my evidence that they are the number. And then I thought, no, that also is another tracking. And so it'll be kind of a 2-sided thing. And
you think they'll all fit?
Well, each panel will have its own hatch mark papers. So I hope it does, because yeah, that's going to cause
Kyle,
a problem if it doesn't.
Kyle, it's collage. You can just put it right over, you know, just stack it up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I have a question about the dots.
Sure.
Does one stand alone? I mean, they're very close together, or
they all stand alone, Sue.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Jen, can you go to the next image?
Oh.
Is there a way you can really like blow that up?
1 second.
Ooh.
Too far.
Too far. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the shape of the dot that's been an interesting process in and of itself, because initially I was thinking, well, how am I going to do all these dots? And I didn't want them to be uniformed.
Ah, yes.
I just thought that would look, I mean, you could just like punch them out of paper and then, you know, paste them on there. But then as I start working and as the brush disintegrates or the paint gets a little bit dried out, or towards the end of the 20 dots, the shapes change, and they go from anything from a round dot to like a feather looking thing, and sometimes they're like little curves. I mean, it's just bizarre that, and I have I don't know, 3 or 4 different brushes that I use
now, So the larger dots that are moving through, they're not on top of smaller dots?
No, they're not.
Okay. Wow.
They just kind of give a little bit more. I wanted as much movement.
Surrounded.
Well, it is. It's amazing how much is going on in there. Wow.
Yeah. And then
Question, Kyle. This is Bob.
Sure.
Are those standard hollow core doors?
Yes, I got it at Lowe's.
Okay.
Yeah. They're fairly inexpensive.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jennifer Drinkwater's still there, but she was the one who turned me on to that. And it was like, it was perfect. So, yeah. They do take a lot of gesso.
I
Suck that up.
Because you can't, I was thinking they do have some type of coating that they probably do during the manufacturing process for the hollow core doors. I don't know what's in it, but it takes about 4 layers of gesso to get enough down so that you can start painting on it. So then I did gesso, about 4 layers, and then I did painted everything yellow, and then I started in with the black. So, and when you don't see it when it's in a picture like this, but because of the different pressure and the different amount of paint in each dot, in person, it feels like it's breathing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like regions of development.
Yeah. And as I was doing it, my thoughts went like everywhere. I kept on thinking about the Aboriginal art out of Australia where they do the dots. And then I was up in St. Paul a couple of years ago, and there was a woman who she used acrylic and did dot paintings, but with Native American themes. And that was kind of, now I have a whole new appreciation for both the Aboriginal people in Australia and how uniform their dots are, as well as the artist up in Minnesota, because I don't have that kind of patience. I've got patience and I can focus and I can do this, but I don't have the patience to have perfect little dots.
No. Well,
Was that short, The Landmark, Kyle?
Yes, it was, Peg. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought of that so many times.
That was absolutely remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is just extremely beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks, Kathy.
Oh.
Any other questions? Well, that's all I've got so far. Stand by. I've got some more paintings in the works. I work on the dot project. And then when I get kind of like over the dots for a while, I do one of the abstracts or start doing the thumbnails and working on paintings. So, yeah. So that's it.
They will look good.
Wonderful. Just
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Great.
Yeah, I can hardly wait to see these in person. I mean, it's clear that there's even a lot more than what we can see here, and what we can see here is already exciting.
Thanks, Leanne. Yeah, it's been really good to work through. Hi, Valerie. It's been good to work through all the craziness of this whole time, and everybody talks about how surreal it is, and that's basically the only way I can describe this time. So, being a visual artist, this is how I can deal with it and keep my sanity. So,
I think you just answered my question. Does the isolation sort of stimulate your creativity?
Very much so, Bob. Yeah.
That's good.
I don't know if you were on at the very beginning, but I did say that I was happy, not happy. That's a little bit strong, I was glad to be a visual artist and not a performing artist. I get together, I still play my flute all the time. And COVID has really helped me develop good, you know, breath control and tone and all that stuff. And I have a friend and she plays the piano. I don't know if Barb's here, but it's been nice. We did get together on her deck and play. I play the flute, she plays the piano, and it's just great to get together with somebody and make music. But then it's kind of, for me, it's been a bittersweet realization to come to that people who are performance artists, you know, Stan Raby was here earlier and he works in the theater, and the theater has been so heavily impacted. And then you've got all the, you know, performing artists. And it made me very grateful that back in the day, that when I thought I wanted to grow up to be a professional flutist, I'm glad that I didn't go down that route, because all the musicians are really, really suffering right now because they can't play. I was listening to NPR today, and they're talking about how Kamala Harris has chosen the Howard Marching Band, and they had to play. And I was like, it's their drum line. And Peg, I thought of you. I was like, but although they've been practicing for like forever, just on the off chance that they might be invited, and they were. But they had to whittle it down to just the drum line. And I understand why they did it, but it's so sad because all those kids work their hearts out.
Yeah, drum line's the engine.
Say what?
The drum line's the engine of the band.
Exactly. And I love drumline. I love Drum Beauty. It is like the bomb. That's one of my favorite music events of all time is Drum Beauty. Yeah. Gives me goosebumps. And when I was with the St. Paul Police Department band, the best thing about the band was, you know, them doing T1 and they would just jam it. And, you know, it was fun. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing that on the inauguration is the Howard University drumline going at it.
I'm going to watch it from Andy's house.
Yeah. Tell Andy I said hi.
I will.
I'm also looking forward to the Izizarettes, which is that drill team from Des Moines that were in Obama's parade. And we've seen the Izizarettes a dozen times or more, and they are just absolutely phenomenal.
They're going to be in Washington?
Well, they're going to be on the virtual thing. I don't think they'll be in place in Washington. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be fun tomorrow. Although in the middle of this, I refinanced my mortgage. So when is my mortgage refinancing closing?
No.
At 11 a.m.
No. Oh. Tell him you're sick.
I have a feeling you'll be able to catch it in replays.
Oh, yeah. You think?
A few hundred times.
We have our bottle of champagne in the fridge, waiting to toast our new president.
Oh, I have the sweater that I wore to back in January or February when I was for Biden and nobody at City Hall. He wasn't even viable. And so I have the same sweater I wore that night when he wasn't viable. And I've saved it because it's like, well, when it's all official, you know, then so I'm washing it tonight so I could wear it tomorrow because back then the woman who was leading the Bidens was from Philadelphia. And so she didn't know anything about Iowa caucusing, but she knew Biden personally and had shared, she was saying, well, I've been through all these things he's been through. And so that was extremely surprising. But so there were just three of us that night. We weren't viable. But meanwhile, anyway, I've been saving that top to wear again.
I'm not much of a flag waver, but it seems like lately we're seeing the American flag paired with Trump flags on the back of pickups. So in an effort to take the American flag back, yes. I'm hanging mine out tomorrow.
Yay!
Good. Well, so is anybody else going to cook anything special or, listen to anything special as you're watching on TV?
No,
we're going to be watching.
Wall-to-wall coverage. I'll be at my son's house and they have, a million channels. I prefer PBS, but I'll watch whatever they watch, but I'll eat popcorn and just watch every second of it.
Yeah, so you have a group thing happening. Good.
The only
family group thing. Yeah, not a group.
The only food I can ever remember is vanilla ice cream because I know that's Mr. Biden's favorite. So I can do that. No cooking required.
Good. Okay, and then we'll have to see if any of us can learn the Delaware State song.
Oh, he cried. Did you see his farewell speech?
Yes, I did.
I was spooked up watching the news of that. I mean, I think, if he serves 2 terms, there's a chance he may never live back in Delaware again.
Yes.
He was saying that. It was really sad.
Yeah.
I think it's notable he is the youngest person ever to have been elected to the Senate and now the oldest person to become president. It's like, it's his time. I mean, I don't know.
A real lifetime of service.
Mm-hmm. Class act.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kyle, I'm so happy you're being out there working your art. That's very encouraging to all of us.
Yes.
Thanks. Bob and Deb, are you guys making any art right now?
Yeah, I'm doing my collage. I'm making Valenzines for a whole bunch of. I don't like the mass production part, but I like the initial creativity about it.
Yeah.
That's Debbie's answer to the Christmas card, is the Valentine, and it comes out in the form of a zine.
That's cool.
And I don't know, what do you do, about 80 or 90 of them?
I think I'm going to do about 80 this year.
Do you color them or what? Or you just...
Well, I construct collages and then I scan them and turn them into a folding little book.
Yeah. I love your zines. They're awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. How's the space in the loft now for working?
It's coming together.
It is
getting better.
It's coming together. I've carved out my hut, so I've got my own space. I don't have to be in the lobby of the library, and because they don't let me in.
There's no. Good. So you have your little corner now. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. So maybe somebody will sign up for a Zoom now. Maybe you'll sign up for the Zoom next time and do the tour. Let us see how your place looks now, and how what you're doing.
We're basically living in our studio.
We live in our studio, which is not different from our home on Bluestem. Deb had her work table right in our front room, which it still is, but essentially we both live in one room. And we have a bedroom and a bath, but everything else is one big room.
That's like Matthew at the Roosevelt.
Yep.
He's the same in his, right. He lives there and then, right.
Mm-hmm.
Loft living is not for everybody. I enjoyed it though. That's how I know Peg, who was on here a little bit earlier. She's my downstairs neighbor.
Mm.
Is it Jen?
Well, there you go, guys. This has been a really, really great hour. I needed this. So thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
I hope you're inspired to keep creating. As Kyle said, this may be the time. Here we are.
Yeah.
As for us
I'm
musicians,
really anxious.
we'll be back.
I have to say that I'm really anxious after this is all said and done to find out about all the artwork that was made, about all the books that were written. Mm-hmm. Sue Norris, those little things that you're doing. What are you calling those things?
Assemblages.
I mean, they are freaking awesome.
Thanks, because I'm working on one for tonight that's the words are going to be burning down the house.
Yes.
I think it's appropriate. And Bob, I'm using some images that you gave me. So you're part of it. My little 4-inch by 4-inch square. It's on Instagram, Eccentric Old Woman, if you want to look me up. I got it first. No one else can use that. But yeah, it's really great to see your work, Kyle. And I'm reminded of when I taught at Maker School and we did the 500 project where we, in the art department, I encouraged the kids, kindergarten through 5th grade, we're going to make 500 representations of the number 500 this year. And here you are representing more than 400,000, you know, in the dots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, have any of you ever seen the movie, the 6 million, the paperclip project?
Yes.
The 6 paperclips?
Yes.
That brings that to mind too. It's really powerful to put that number in visual form.
Yeah, there was an image. It was taken in Britain about 3 years ago. I can't remember. There was a glass artist, a glass blower, who made one red, I guess it was a poppy. He blew all these poppies and they installed them. Yes. Do you remember seeing that? That was that picture. And that's basically all I know about it. But that is so stuck in my head of that image, and it was so powerful. And it represented, there was one flower for everyone who had all the Brits that had died
in World
War II. And that's kind of been, or World War I.
Whatever, yeah, but it's along the same lines, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, you know, if you just kind of look at a number, yes, it's like, well, like Vietnam. I remember I volunteered for the Vietnam Memorial in Washington when I was living in Washington, D.C. And Maya Lin did this gorgeous installation where everybody was like up in arms because, oh my God. But she listed every single person, all the soldiers that had died. And she had, you know, it was done. But she did it in chronological order. Wow. So that the guys who died together would be remembered together. And you could find, as a volunteer, I had to carry this book that was like a big telephone book. And if you came up and you say, I'm looking for whoever, and I would look at their name and give you the coordinates and go over and show you. Right. And I remember when I was doing that, I was there for the dedication, and there were, at that point in time when it first opened, there was like 48,000, and we were all like, oh my God, can you imagine 48,000 people died in Vietnam? Now it's over 50,000 because they changed how they're counting it. So they were able to add names. And that has kind of stuck in me too, between the image of the World War I memorial in Britain and then the Vietnam memorial. And then I kept on thinking about early on, if it was like the 50,000 people on the Vietnam memorial, or take one book that's like 3 inches thick, how many books would it be? And then, you know, so that kind of figured into the whole thing, because you have to, like, you know, just show people. It's not just your Aunt Betty who died in the nursing home from COVID. No, it's all these other people. And, you know, we're all in this together.
We are. And it's not a hoax.
Really?
Invented by Democrats. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to be, it's a somber occasion to be in the sanctuary that you're creating, but I will do it, you know.
Excellent. Yeah. So, the other thing is I've already talked to Dan McClanahan, and he's already on board. He's going to do the photography of it. We're going to take it up to his big studio and assemble it, but he's going to take all the photographs of it. And so, then I want to take it around, you know, send it out and try to get somebody, because it needs a big space.
Yes.
Yep. Wow.
Because
I know I won't even be able to assemble it in my studio because my studio is not big enough.
Like Andy's ice house.
Andy's what? Ice house. Yes, you're right. I forget. I always forget about ice houses. They don't have them that much here.
Oh.
People just take like a lawn chair out to a rickety lake and they sit there, and I'm like, oh no, you don't know. You don't understand ice fishing.
Well,
No, built it in the garage, and then he couldn't get it out.
I think 6 panels be 15 feet long.
Well, luckily there was a drum line. I came home from work and there were about 6, 7 cars out in the street, and I came in just as he stormed around the house for a couple of days trying to figure out what to do, and he built a thing with 2x4s kind of laminated, got kind of long with wheels on the end and some ropes, and he tipped it onto it so they could swivel it around, and they
Which lake did they put it on?
I'm glad they didn't lose one of the snare people. I mean, it was very scary. I wish they would have had it done by the time I got home, because I was like, what are you guys doing? But he did it. They got it done. And
it would be great to do a video on the right kind of snowy day outside with a new snow, if you can set it up and have somebody video and walk around.
What, the panels?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would kind of lose something. I don't know.
Well.
Bye, Stan. Thanks for coming.
Bye, Stan. Good to see you.
No, I think it would be really dramatic.
Imagine that.
How's the show going, Stan?
I think, well, I'll know more after tonight. I'm not directly as involved as other people.
Are you going to stream this one?
No, we're not allowed to. We have asked 3 times.
Find one you can mount that you can stream. That was absolutely awesome.
That's kind of been part of the game for next season, because we had the shows all selected for this season. So there wasn't, but now we're looking at next season, and hopefully they're going through the rights and whether or not they can get rights for streaming, because for most of the theaters, it's a separate process. You have to get rights for the show, and then you get rights for streaming, is the way it is proven thus far. And they're trying to figure it out too. So,
yeah, as long as those companies have been around, they haven't been around through pandemics, I don't think.
That's it. Right. And not only that, but this is always something that's been forbidden up until now. You're not allowed to broadcast it. You're not allowed to record it. You're not allowed, you can't take audio recordings. You can't, and now suddenly everyone's, it's just totally different from all the rules in the past.
Yeah.
But thank you, Kyle. It's fabulous.
Thank you, Stan.
We'll see you all later.
See you
all
next
right.
month.
Bye, Stan.
Bye.
And as Stan said, our next gathering will be February 3rd Tuesday. Let me see, February 16th. And it will be actors. We'll be talking about the second half of their season, how they're going to handle the spring, and hopefully get a look at their space that they've been putting up. And,
wow.
And it'll be Stan. So who knows what he'll talk about, because, it's Stan.
He doesn't know.
Exactly.
And Jen, have you given any, this is maybe board stuff, but you were talking about having a songwriter thing going on. And the reason why I'm asking you is Margaret Etta up in Minnesota is a songwriter, and we should hook her into it.
Fledgling.
It didn't work for the original grant that we were looking at. It didn't work out because they ran out of funding before we got our proposal in, but I have not let go of the idea. So we'll be in touch.
Okay. All right.
Stay in touch.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Kyle.
Nice to see everyone.
I know everybody can see the notes on the side, but remember the Ames Farmers Market on Saturday from 9 to 1. Valerie will be there with her work. I know there's other artists there as well. So come out. And I've been in there a couple of times. They do a really nice job. Lots of distance, lots of masks. It's a really comfortable.
It's till noon, isn't it?
Yes. It says, is it noon or 1?
1. It goes till 1 o'clock. Yeah.
I might be able to get dressed by then.
No. And that's in the Drug Town building on Main Street.
I'm just happy that it starts at 9 instead of 8.
Oh,
Speaking as one of those performing artists who just never got up early. Right.
So that's this Saturday. This
coming Saturday. They're doing it February. It's like the second Saturday of the month after this, until it moves outside in May.
Oh, so you're going to continue. Awesome, Valerie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'll have my daily dish pottery there because, like you said, all my dance gigs got.
Is there a schedule somewhere? Can I go to a website and see a schedule?
Ames Main Street Farmers Market, I think. Yeah. And there's also, if you look, there's a Facebook page also.
Okay.
Ames Main Street Farmers Market, I think. Okay. But if you just search for Ames Main Street Farmers Market, it'll come up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're also doing an online market. So you can order things by Thursday and then pick them up on Saturday.
Oh, cool.
Or have curbside pickup on Saturday. Yeah, so if you're nervous about coming into the building at all, but it's a huge building and everybody is very separated. Everybody's required to wear a mask. So it feels pretty safe.
Oh, okay.
It's really, being in that old Drug Town building is really nice. There are windows all over the place. It's a really great space for the farmers market.
Hi, Kyle. I love your stuff.
Thanks, Sue. I'm so glad you came.
Yeah.
Let me know what Ann Reed says.
She said nice things.
I actually have one of her albums somewhere. CDs, not albums, but yeah.
Dating yourself. Well, thank you guys so much. It's been a good evening.
Such a pleasure.
Yeah, it's so nice to chat.
Yeah.
Everybody
I guess Margaret's gone. Margaretta, Peg. So who else is here?
That's why I was looking along the bottom. Yes.
Oh, there's Dan.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan.
Now we've got Kathy and Kyle and Peg and Valerie, Leanne and Dan and another. You must be logged in 2 places, Kathy.
Hear me?
Audrey.
Oh, can you hear me? Oh, yeah. I just wanted to say thank you. I don't. This is the first time I've been aware of the group, and I enjoyed your show tonight very much, Kyle, and really interesting and comments from other people. And I see a few people that I know.
Well, thanks for joining us, Margaret.
And how did you
to see you again?
Where did you find it? I just want to know where you saw it.
I think it was just in the in your newsletter in the Ames Community.
Okay, so you did good. Cool.
Yeah, it was in the newsletter. Yeah,
we stopped for a while, but we're trying to get back on the every month pattern. So keep track. Of it. Keep us honest.
It was really interesting, and got to eat my supper too.
There you go.
Yeah.
When we do this in real time, there's good food and drink to share.
Hey, Valerie, you still on?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I am.
The person from the Ames Tribune is Rona Arana, R-O-N-N-A. And she's awesome. I was really impressed. I mean, we had a phone conversation the day before, and then all of a sudden the next day, Bronwyn says, "Oh, I just read the article about the gathering." And she put that all together. I thought that was really impressive.
Mm-hmm. She does a great job for the arts. Great job for the Arts Council, and I think for the arts in general. She's fun to follow on Facebook. She posts some of her good stuff on Facebook too. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes, we've got to support her there, really. And she was happy we were happy. So
cool.
It's good.
Well, anyway, I appreciate everybody for coming. I think that I don't know about y'all, but I thought except for me not really editing my PDF well enough.
Well, and that was my fault. There was some technical difficulty on this end, but we won't talk about it.
But I think it's actually a doable thing. And, you know, to have like the people from, you know, CASA and Dan and whoever's doing stuff. I really want to see Susan Norris's stuff because she's on her Instagram feed. They are just kick-ass. They're wonderful, these assemblages that she's doing. And then Bob and Deb and, you know, well, everything they're doing. So I think it's a doable thing. We can go, you know, for sure every month.
Yeah.
So anyway, worked for me. Although I miss the food.
Me too. Well, honestly, if anyone's interested in presenting or has someone that they'd like me to ask, just drop me an email or let Kyle know and we'll add them to the list. And people are pretty agreeable. If I ask them, they often say yes, or give me a time when they'll say yes the next time. So if there's somebody in town that you know of that we might not, please do share the name and we'll reach out.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yep. Anybody need anything else? This has been great. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you, Dan.
Good to see you too.
Yay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Good night.
Bye.
Good to see you, Barry.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.